Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. You guys might not recognize this gentleman, but you might recognize his voice. It is Gary Daugherty from the Polite Society podcast.
Yeah.
Good to have you, Gary. Thanks for coming along and riding shotgun with Charlie.
Looking forward to it.
This is going to be a lot of fun. This is what I like about listening to the Polite Society podcast. I grew up in Bourbonnais, Illinois, an hour south of Chicago. And when I hear somebody with some good hard R's,
Yes.
I love it. Being from Massachusetts, we don't have a lot of hard R's. So I gotta tell you, I love hearing hearing a good Illinois accent. And I never thought that I had one until I moved to Massachusetts, then moved back to then went back to Illinois and heard my sisters talk, my sister and my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, they sound funny.
I don't know. Well, I guess I hear other accents, obviously.
Right.
My parents live down here in the Dallas area, and they've been down here 25 years, so I start to hear they've picked
A little bit of twang.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
But I don't know what an Illinois accent even sounds like.
I will tell you this: there is no Illinois accent. Like you sound like you're from the Midwest. You enunciate all your words. Sometimes there's hard R's.
Yeah.
But that's it. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. You've been on the Polite Society podcast. Before we get to that and how you got started with them, you're also a firearm instructor.
Yes.
Very cool. How long have you? What got you into shooting, and how long have you been an instructor?
Okay. I'll start with what got me into shooting, because that was 30 years ago.
Wow.
I was, if they can't tell from your video how wedged into this car I am, I was 2 feet tall at birth.
Wow.
And 6'5" by high school.
Oh my gosh.
So started out working as a doorman. Actually, before I was even old enough in Illinois to do it. And so got hooked up with a lot of people, some higher end clubs, and politicians and very, very connected people hired me to be their bodyguard.
Wow.
And I carried illegally. They gave me guns. They gave me double shoulder holsters to wear under my suit, and carried like it was nothing. And I was not a huge gun guy. I went to the range. I liked going shooting and stuff like that, but it wasn't I didn't think that largely about it. Mm-hmm. And then, so I did that for a couple of years. It was fun. A lot of people hire bodyguards because they want to act like people who need bodyguards that really don't. So
they want to act like
show off. I mean, one guy used to hand me a wad of cash and then would snap his fingers and have me bring over money, like he,
Oh my gosh.
Gary, give me $300. Gary, like that. I mean, like I said, he just liked to show off his beef. And so I got into, after that, I enjoyed that aspect of it. So I took some driving training and got into driving a limousine.
Wow, that's cool.
So I was a chauffeur for a while and continued to carry illegally. We just got concealed carry a couple of years ago in Illinois. This was way out there. But it had become the commonplace. Like most of us, at the gun-raised policy conference, just carry every day like putting on your pants and your shoes.
Right.
And I didn't think much of it until I was sitting in the limousine in the winter, car running with the heat on, and was just half dozed off, you know, and was awakened by someone trying to yank open the front passenger side door of the limousine.
Holy crap.
And everything you go through. I was startled. I was in a strange neighborhood. Like I said, I had someone in a bar.
Yeah.
And drew and pointed the gun at the passenger side window.
Wow.
This guy was crazy. I mean, this guy's trying to break into a car that's running with a person in it. So you know how out there he must have been.
No kidding.
And then I scared the hell out of myself. I said, oh my God, if he gets this door open, I'm going to have to shoot him.
Yikes.
You know, I mean, that I had no training at all, which just is a mistake. And literally scared myself. And that was the last day I carried until about 8-9 years ago. Yeah. And I switched to pepper spray, and like I said, it was just untrained, and I've been shooting and living in Illinois. And then about 10 years ago, I moved to Vegas, and went ahead and got my permit, made legal, and then kind of almost like a new concealed carry, got back into it slowly. Didn't carry every day, but just started doing more research and getting back into as a gun person. You know, when I was just kind of a hobby shooter at the time, and you know, self-defense, used to read all that stuff, and then moved back to Illinois, where we didn't have concealed carry yet, and sticker shock, not putting my gun on every day. You know, I had gotten to the mode where I was doing it every day, and then all of a sudden I couldn't, and I wasn't going to break the law again. I was more mature.
Right, a little older, a little more mature. Just a little.
Yeah, so I figured, well, I got to get some more training, because I hadn't, very little at that point. And did some research and found a NRA instructor course. I mean, I've been shooting at that point, like I said, for almost 30 years. I figured, well, I don't think I need a basic. I don't need to take a basic class.
Yeah.
I also, for about 10 years, had taught motorcycle safety and ATV safety. So I like teaching people that want to learn. I don't think I would be a good instructor, like at a high school.
Sure.
But people that want to learn, and people that are very, very basic, like I love to see the light bulb go on.
That's cool. Absolutely. I'm the same way. I'm one of these guys, like when I get into something, I start doing it, I'm like, this is pretty cool, I'm all excited, and then at one point I'm like, I can teach people how to do this. I can teach people, like I did it with gun stuff. I was into archery for a while. I'm like, I can teach people how to shoot a bow and arrow, that'll be cool. And it doesn't matter what I do, I'm like, I can teach people how to do this. And it seems like the one thing that goes through my life is I just want to, like I've been a band teacher for 25 years. I knew that I was going to be I want to be a rock star, of course, but I knew I'd end up being a teacher, and took that route, and everything I've done, I just like teaching people. Getting them up and going, watching that light go off, that's the big thing. For me, I know that I like to teach people because I like seeing the light go off. I like it that I'm not, I wasn't in the military, I wasn't a cop, that wasn't my background. Right. You know, I got into this as I've got a son, I need to be able to protect my son. Okay, cool. And then I'm just, Joe concealed carry, just a regular guy after that. But anyway. Yeah. So you got the instructor?
Yes, I got instructor certification NRA, and had a great training counselor, just amazing. Still a friend today. Cool. You could call him up at any time. What do you think about this? New laws, new changes, new things. Yep. The NRA went through a process with changing the way the pistol training was. Yeah. So I have somebody who's very knowledgeable and very into it to reach out to whenever there's changes. Cool. But couldn't carry because, like I said, when I got to Illinois, wasn't allowed. So started to become political. And that's just kind of exploded to, I wish I could clone myself. Sometimes I go to 2 political events in one day.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's
a
quite a
fundraiser
journey.
here and a picnic over there, or somebody else's dinner here, or a talk here. And I love absorbing that new information.
Yeah.
So, working for candidates. I've now in Illinois a precinct committeeman, which is the bottom rung, but it is the first point of contact for constituents.
Wow.
So I have about 3,000. It's divided up. Illinois is divided up that way, not in Cook County, but the rest of the state. And it's an elected position. It's a 2-year, but like it's no pay.
Right.
And it's just doing a lot of work. Just working for candidates, making sure that your people, quote unquote, are getting the services they need. Property tax is a big deal in Illinois. So
Sure.
we have a lot of how to protest your taxes and get them reduced. And
Wow.
so I like to work with, like I said, my local people, so they know that option is out there. Most people don't even know it's an option, and it's a relatively painless process and worth it on more than one occasion, So
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm fighting for that. I'm fighting for gun rights. Nationally, I unfortunately, some of the Democratic leaders in the Illinois House and Senate know my name, or at least they don't. They may not know my name, but their staff certainly knows my name.
They know who you are.
Yes. So that's I mean, and then so Polite Society podcast.
Yeah. How did you get looped in with Paul and the Polite Society?
More studying, more learning. I honestly can't remember which was the first shows, but 2 of my early shows were Handgun World with Bob Bain and Polite Society podcast with Paul. And then we got
As like a guest?
no, as a listener.
Oh, okay.
It's just looking for more gun info and found some interesting people with some interesting opinions. Didn't agree with all of them, but that's the best place to learn from.
Sure.
Preaching to the choir or listening to the choir just doesn't get you anywhere. It's what they don't like, that you don't like, that you're going to make you think more, I think. And so I was listening to those guys. And Paul, we had gotten concealed carry in Illinois finally. And Paul's a truck driver, the owner of the podcast, Polite Society podcast, said, I need to get my permit. And I said, oh, this is perfect. I will trade him a class for some advertising on his show.
There you go.
Right? Hey, perfect. I mean, I put him in one of my classes, give him a free class, and then he gets some free advertising.
Was he going to get the Illinois permit?
Yes, because he's driving a truck. He needs one.
Gotcha.
He needs to be as permitted in as many states as he can.
Right, he's got to have a wallet full of permits.
Right.
Sure. But especially for states like Illinois that don't have
any reciprocity with anybody else.
That's
and
Massachusetts,
all that stuff,
man.
Yeah. So I sent him an email, and here's the plan. He said, that's great. I come through Illinois, whatever his route took him often enough. And so we started planning on it. And then I did some more investigating. Actually, I think another instructor had called me to ask me some information about other states. And I started doing some research. And Illinois has written their law so screwy that there's only 4 states have the availability of applying for an Illinois permit.
Is it non-res?
As a non-res,
My God.
your state has to have substantially similar standards for their permits as Illinois.
Gotcha.
For you to be able to apply. Now here's how hilarious this rule is. Hawaii, where you can't get a permit,
They accept.
you could get an Illinois permit
Oh my God.
because their rules are substantially similar enough. They sent this questionnaire out to state's attorneys, every state attorney in the country, and half of them didn't even fill out the questionnaire, so they just immediately took them off the list as a state where you could get an out-of-state permit in Illinois.
Oh my gosh.
So Illinois, once again, overstepping, going crazy, and looking at it, politicians looking at it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were talking as you were pulling up about people without the knowledge making the laws.
It happens everywhere.
So Illinois said, well, we'll just charge $300 for out-of-state permits because we don't want them to apply, so then we don't have to deal with them. And what they miss completely is Illinois is one of the best states for reciprocity with other states. It's up there with Florida. Now, everybody gets a Florida because it covers so many states.
Right.
Well, if they would have done that with Illinois, you know, the millions, what is it, 1.2 million have Florida permits, right?
Something like that.
So, we have only about 250,000 carry permits in Illinois. They would have double that of out-of-state people because our permit is good in so many states. And they would just be flat-out revenue for the state that all they had to do was process the apps. They wouldn't even have to do any enforcement because they may not even ever come to Illinois.
Right.
So, once again, it's millions of dollars they're giving up.
Giving away. Do you do the Utah class?
I don't do the Utah class.
Okay.
Because first of all, you have to refresh your instructor credentials every couple of years.
Every 3 years.
And you have to teach another extra 4 hours. You can't include it in another class. You can't include Utah into like the Illinois class or the Wisconsin class, any state class.
Yeah.
Utah requires a separate 4 hours just for Utah to be instructed. And Utah doesn't get you anything that Illinois and Arizona don't.
Gotcha.
Now, you take my class, you can get an Arizona or a Florida.
Yeah.
And Arizona and Florida are substantially similar, except Arizona doesn't get you Florida, and Florida gets you Florida. And everywhere else.
Oh my gosh.
So you're 37 states between Illinois and Florida.
Gotcha.
And the only thing Utah would get me is Washington State.
Which you're probably never going to go to.
You're right. I mean, I have no intention of.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I know instructors that are teaching it, that are selling it like crazy, and renewing people like crazy, and I'm confused as to why.
Gotcha. Well, I live in Massachusetts. The Mass license is good in about 15 states.
Okay.
And Utah's good for 30. So you get about 15 more. What gets confusing with the Utah permit is if you have reciprocity with Utah, you have to have your home state license. So I've done classes up in New Hampshire, and the New Hampshire permits are, New Hampshire permits easy to get. You send them your state license, your resident license, and send them $100 and you get your New Hampshire permit. But Utah permits for Utah residents is a whopping $10. It's literally like a piece of carbon paper. They fill it out, they send it to you, and you can carry concealed with that. But you have to have your New Hampshire. If you're a New Hampshire resident, you have to have your New Hampshire permit in order to use your Utah permit. In order to get the Utah permit, Utah residents can carry in New Hampshire with their Utah permit, but the website doesn't say that. So I've had people take the Utah class with me thinking they can use a Utah permit to carry in New Hampshire, but it doesn't work that way unless you're a Utah resident.
Okay.
And I know, talking about this, it sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It really does. New Hampshire's now a constitutional carry state, so you don't have to have a permit. But it's people get really confused by all this stuff. I've been one of these guys. I'm for national reciprocity. It only makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, it really does. But what I'm concerned about, I guess, is that I don't think that gun owners are going to do their due diligence to find out what the laws are in each of the states. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'm afraid that they. I don't know. I mean, I look it up every time I drive to most of these GRBCs.
Right. We're into it. We're gonna look it up. I mean, I looked up handgunlaw.us to find out about what it was here in Texas before I brought something with me, before we came down here. I'm into it. I'm going to check it out. Most people aren't. Most people aren't going to do that. And that's what my concern about national reciprocity is. And then they're going to be like, well, all gun owners are knuckleheads and idiots because in our state you can't carry into a restaurant that serves alcohol, but in another state you can.
Right.
And I hear in Texas, if you have if 51% of the sale, 51% of the income comes from the sale of alcohol, it's considered a bar, and you can't carry in a bar.
Yes.
It's like, holy moly, man.
No, but Illinois and Texas, and I don't know the other states, have to be posted. If
That's another thing.
If they're not allowed, like you said, 51% bars in Illinois also have to be posted. Now I say in my classes, you walk into a place that you know is a bar, and the drunk that walked out 3 minutes before you ripped off the sign, that's still your problem.
Oh, jeez.
You know what I mean? You know a bar. And I've responded to message boards, and I do a lot of talking on like Quora and the different message boards where people are asking questions and whatnot. And I go, look, what bar/restaurant is so important that you have to go into, that you're going to carry into? Because I don't believe in patronizing these joints that don't care if you can defend yourself or not. So I won't go in if they have the signs. But where do you have to go that you would, go into it and risk violating the law?
No kidding.
I said, if you don't know, don't go. Why? You don't need to go those places, I think.
Gotcha. All right,
so yes, it's confusing. What?
I gotta find the exit for the hotel. Weston Hotel.
You're gonna edit that you're lost?
Yeah.
No, leave that part in. It's the whole thing about riding shotgun, brother.
I know, right? Maybe I'll leave it in. I don't care.
Gary, why didn't you tell me where to turn?
I know, right?
I think you're probably pretty close, actually.
I think we still got a few minutes, but
yeah.
Look, I just had Yehuda in the car. I'm like, dude, we gotta go to Dealey Plaza.
Oh, you gonna go down there?
Yeah, we literally just drove around the plaza, and that's it.
What?
We drove to the plaza, saw the X's, headed out. That was pretty cool.
Oh, you gotta go in the book depository. It's a big tour and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interviewing people.
I know. I'm just saying.
I would love
next
to.
time you're here,
Gosh, yeah.
There's kind of two big things in Texas. The Fort Worth cattle yards, they've turned that into a massive tourist attraction.
Wow.
And they run longhorns down the middle of the road.
Whoa.
So, and it's like I said, it's like an old West town kind of road. It's not. There's no cars, so there's just cows moseying through with the big longhorns, which are fun. And I'm not going to say that the site of a president's murder is fun, but it's fascinating. There's so much information going on there.
Yeah, and Yehuda and I just talked about it. Trump is supposedly going to release all the government paperwork on the Kennedy assassination. That's pretty wild. So let's get to this. So we talked about the Polite Society podcast. You started listening. You traded some advertising with Paul Lathrop of the Polite Society podcast for traded some advertising for some training, and now you're on the show. That
was the intent, was to trade advertising for training, and then he said, we'll have you on as an interview.
Cool.
And then I got this call from the other instructor about Wisconsin not being ill. You can't get an Illinois permit from Wisconsin, a neighboring state, of course.
Right.
Yeah. I said, and I started doing some research, and I called him up. I said, Paul, you can't get a permit yet. I said, I'd be more than happy to give you the class. It would be good for Florida and Arizona, but you can't apply for Illinois yet.
My gosh.
And he goes, let's just have you on. We'll do the interview. And we did the interview. And I don't remember how it happened, but he said, would you like to be a guest? Would you like to be one of my hosts?
Right. I mean, sure. He obviously thought you were knowledgeable enough and spoke well, and
I probably fooled him on that one, of course. But
now, this is what I find really cool about you guys. You guys do the Google Docs for communicating, but you guys are all on Skype in different parts of the country.
Right.
Which I think is pretty wild.
It's fun, and we've gotten...
In half mile, north onto Texas 114 East.
All right.
It's fun, and we've gotten so much better at it. I watch The Five on Fox almost every day. And I'm very impressed with how little they step on each other when they're talking. And we used to step on each other all the oops sorry, because there's an internet delay with Skype. It's not like a true deal. And I said, well, let's do this. Let's start putting in our names at the bottom of the story. And then when you finish reading the story, this was before Susan was reading the stories, when you finish reading the story, then go to the person whose name is there. And then someone else will have their name below that. So I mean, it's kind of a, how the sausage is made behind the scenes thing. Yeah. So we have a system for keeping the flow and keeping us from walking each other. It's not perfect, but it helps a lot.
It works.
And so that's what's great about that Google Doc, is to be able to, because it's just live and everybody follows along with what's happening with the show. Mm-hmm. And Paul and Susan are the owners, producers, and everything like that, but we don't have, on the 5, for example, each one of them has their own individual producer. Mm-hmm. We don't have that, but that's okay. We managed to swing it out. I think it sounds okay.
I think it sounds great. You guys, if you don't listen to the Polite Society podcast, you guys definitely got to check them out. They get to talk to all the cool people. Then they have to talk to me.
That was cool.
But
Paul's and Charlie's done a gungram to all of us, which is very nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I love that I feel like I fit in some sort of whatever. I'm finding my niche in the community here with everybody, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, it is a community, and it's great. Like this GRPC, it's family. It's family that you only get to see once a year at a holiday. It just so happens not to be Christmas or New Year's.
I was just talking to Paul about this, and talked to other people too. This is my second GRPC. Last year was my first one. I was honored that I was able to speak, and when I see, we became friends with people on Facebook and social media and all that stuff, and you see what they're up to, and you listen to their podcasts, you listen to their shows, you watch their videos, and you feel like you know these guys, and then you get a chance to see each other. It's like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And it really is a close-knit community, and everybody wants to help each other. I mean, I ran into Paul today. He's like, hey, can I borrow you for 5 minutes? Do whatever you need. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm here, like, whatever I can do. Anyway, well, listen. We are getting close to finishing this and needing to close things out. We have had Gary Daugherty from the Polite Society podcast. Tell us about your instruction biz and how people can find not just the Polite Society podcast, but find you and your stuff in Illinois.
I have a website and all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc. at firearmsafetyinstitute.com.
Cool. And you're west of Chicago?
I am, yes, northwest suburbs of Chicago. Absolutely.
Very cool. All right. So you definitely need to check out Gary Daugherty at, what was it again? Firearm Safety Institute. Firearm Safety Institute. Find out all this stuff, and you need to check out the Polite Society podcast. Gary, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's great to see you. I'll see you next year. We're going to be in your stomping grounds.
Yes. Yep.
Can't wait.
Neighborhood.
GRPC is going to be in Dallas. It's in Dallas now. It's going to be in Texas. Let me try this again.
Edit.
Where are we going to be?
Rosemont, Illinois.
Rosemont,
right
Illinois. Right. Well, that's where they have the water thing painted like a rose. They have a concert place there too. Big concert venue.
A couple of them. Actually, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, listen. Thank you guys very much. We will talk to you guys soon. If you don't follow the Riding Shotgun with Charlie stuff, please do. Please check out Gary's stuff, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.